There are 1 million criminals in prison in America. Most of them will be paroled before their prison terms are finished, not because they are rehabilitated, but because we must make room for new inmates. Most convicts are released without jobs, many without homes. Not surprisingly, over half go back to prison. But for a while, they are out living among us. They are convicts on the street. This is the caseload of one parole agent. Among these 50 men and women are 10 rapists, 5 murderers, 5 arsonists, and 13 child molesters. Added together, they have served over 500 years in prison. For 1 year, our cameras will follow these 50 parolees. Within that year, over half will go back to prison. But for the moment, these convicts all walk the streets. One man is watching these 50 parolees. Long Beach, California parole agent Alex Estrada. Estrada carries a gun, handcuffs, and has more legal powers than a police officer.
Just go ahead and relax. Just go ahead and relax.
At any time and without a search warrant, he can enter and search the residence of any parolee under his supervision.
Sounds like you're in there, huh?
Estrada walks a fine line. Part of his job is to protect the community from his parolees, but he is also expected to be their advocate, helping parolees to get housing, jobs, and in some cases even food and clothing. He must be part social worker. He must be part cop.
Open the door!
Oh, I'm gonna open it just
Right now.
Open it now!
Now, it's going down.
Of the 32 parole agents in Long Beach, Estrada's job is one of the toughest. He handles the high control cases. Men and women whose violent criminal history makes them the greatest threat to the community. On parole, Ivan Bryant served 3 terms for kidnapping, drug possession, and oral copulation by force. Herbert Lamont, manslaughter, child molestation. Harold Lewis, 4 terms for drug sales, assault with a deadly weapon, attempted rape, second-degree murder. Patrice Lonergan, voluntary manslaughter. Larry Alicar, kidnapping. Eddie Bell, 5 terms for forgery, robbery, and assault with a deadly weapon. Bell is of particular concern to Estrada because his latest conviction was for attempted murder of a police officer. Today, Eddie Bell was released from prison for the 5th time. 2 hours after his release, he reports to Estrada.
Sign in.
Please sign in.
42-year-old Eddie Bell grew up in Detroit. He is bright, articulate, friendly, and has been arrested over 30 times for forgery, fraud, burglary, conspiracy, and robbery.
Eddie? Oh, hi, Al. Yeah, I'm your agent.
This is Bell's 5th time on parole. Statistically, the odds are against him staying out of prison. Perhaps Estrada can make a difference. He'll start by establishing specific rules of Bell's parole that will regulate his life for the next 3 years. If Bell lives up to the agreement, he could get off parole in as little as 1 year.
Okay, I reviewed your CI&I printout. You really have no drugs in your background. So, at the present time, you won't have drug testing.
I don't think you had a problem out of me. I've dibbled and dabbed in the past, but like it hasn't been a major problem for me.
You're arrested for everything but drugs.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So
Initially, there's a gut feeling as you review the file, and you tell yourself, how long is he going to be out? A week, a month? Is he gonna abscond on me? You keep in the back of your mind what his file says and, you know, his crimes and how many times he's been returned to custody. And you try to keep an open mind. All right, driver's license number. Do you remember that, Eddie? You've got
No.
3 driver's license numbers here.
3?
Yeah.
Is that? Man.
Yeah. When you applied for driver's license, did you always use your own name, or did you use?
Yeah, always on my own name.
Okay.
Never had any problem with my license before. It's one thing I kept clean.
Okay. I need you to sign here your prison number and today's date, 4/11/89.
They've been waiting for it for a long time.
Okay. Then just put your number under here, Eddie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you seem like a pretty fair guy, man. Like we're gonna have a long relationship. Sure, a lot of God willing to be a successful one. 'Cause I intend to come through like a giant.
20 parolees on Estrada's caseload are identified with the designation 290. These are sex offenders. On parole. Raymond Boyce, attempted rape, manslaughter, child molestation. Ernest Cox, child molestation. Christopher Curry, rape. Vincent Gaston, indecent exposure, assault, child molestation. David Oaxaca, rape. Christine Jarvis, child molestation. Huang Lituan, child molestation, rape. Daniel Vidal, child molestation, murder. John Sparks, kidnap, battery, child molestation. Bob Martin, twice convicted of improper conduct with young boys, a camp counselor for 15 years. "37-year-old Martin now lives with his grandmother while he studies to be a television technician. His most recent conviction was for the abuse of a 7-year-old boy, the son of a neighbor.
He was the kind who would jump up next to you on the couch and put his arm around you and just starving for affection because he wasn't getting any. The child did start calling me Dad after a while, just subconsciously. He did spend the night one evening, and I had a very large bed. He slept beside me. We had night clothes on, and the mother thought this was very inappropriate. She found out that I'd had a conviction a number of years before, so she just got very frightened. So, you know, is it wrong? Yes, it's wrong to some printed words in the book, but yet it's a natural human instinct, you know, for touch and togetherness and holding and things like that. Whenever I get too much stress at the time, you know, I reach back for childhood when things were very simple. And I like to look through the eyes of a child, you know, by being in their company to see what they're experiencing and seeing and try and relive that.
Unlike many of Estrada's parolees, Martin comes from a stable middle-class background. He is educated and has a high IQ. But his conditions of parole require him to see a parole psychiatrist each week and register with the local police as a sex offender. He resents both.
All my actions have been non-forced, very mild, and yet I'm registered like the guy that hangs out at the public restroom that yanks somebody in at night.
A sex offender doesn't decide that, oh, today I'm going to go rape a woman or I'm going to go molest a little kid and I'm never going to do it again. When you hear about in the paper that, oh, so-and-so was arrested for child molestation, this is the first time he's ever been arrested, but God knows how many victims he has or how many times he's molested kids prior to his getting caught. I like that confidence in the therapy that they get at times, but I don't think they're ever rehabilitated. With the child molesters on my caseload, there's a lot of surveillance, which means getting up early in the morning or working late night, just kind of watching him, see what he's doing. 99% of them have special conditions where they're not to be around no children at all, supervised or otherwise. Hi, I'm with the Department of Corrections. Okay, I've got a guy that I check on from time to time who lives in the area. Do you have any young daughters? Some have their preference. Some like girls, some like boys, some just like young children. Their outlook is that there's no greater joy than having sex with a child. Inside, it eats at me because, you know, I have children of my own, and I figured, what if something happened to one of my children? My reaction would be, I'm gonna get this guy. Oh, excuse me. If I can avoid it from happening to somebody else, I'm gonna give it 110%. Have you seen this guy around here talking to kids or anything? No? You never talked to him or nothing? He's in the area, so I just kind of check from time to time, you know, with little kids and stuff, see if I haven't missed anything. Okay. When I first got the caseload and I started getting assigned all the 290s, I didn't want it on my conscience that I didn't do the job, that maybe if I had watched this guy closer, and sometimes you get the feeling, I will sit here and watch him for free so I can catch him. But you have to have some type of outlet, because if it starts to become too personal, it eats at you, and you can't let personal feelings get into it. But I'm human, and the type I think they do.
Ten other sex offenders are on Estrada's caseload. On parole: William Seward, child molestation, burglary. Alfred Thompson, lewd act in the presence of a minor. Charles Todd, assault with attempt to commit rape. Edward Trigueros, rape, burglary. Paul Trujillo, attempted rape, sexual perversion. Jimmy Wade, child molestation. James White, rape of a 17-month-old child. Lawrence Schoeneck, convicted for molesting the 3-year-old daughter of his former girlfriend. He's been out of prison for just 1 week. Estrada suspects that Schoeneck is not following his conditions of parole.
He went to prison for a child molestation, and I told him he can't live in a household where there's any children under the age of 18. But I still seem to think that he may go back to the girlfriends from time to time. If he's there, I'm gonna hook him up. See, he doesn't have a car. He's on the bus. Okay, now there's a car, there's a duster there, a blue duster in the driveway. Now, I don't know if that's the girlfriend's or if it's the guy in the back house or what. But I figure he'll come walking out, you know, because right now it's 6 o'clock dinner time. Oh, well, you rotten son of a bitch.
Long Beach parole agents don't have car radio, so Estrada must somehow get police backup without losing sight of the car he is following. After a 5-minute pursuit, he spots a passing patrol car at a stoplight, and the two of them race to catch up with Schoeneck.
Okay, I'm gonna jump out of the car real quick here. I told you not to go there at all, didn't I? I had heard off the driver. No. You were aware that you were supposed to be at your house, right? Yeah. Did I talk to you?
Don't you want to stay there?
No, I didn't want it there at all. I'll book them and then discuss the arrest with my supervisor, and more than likely do a violation report and let the Board of Prison Terms make the decision if they want him back out on the streets right away or if he should go back and do some time.
Lawrence Schoeneck was returned to prison for 9 months. When Eddie Bell went to prison 5 years ago, he was married, had a son and a home. Now his wife is a junkie, and his 9-year-old son has been sent to live with Bell's mother. In prison, Bell saved $1,800. He spent most of it to buy a used El Camino. At age 42, Eddie Bell is starting his life from scratch.
My budget is very tight. What I'm going to buy immediately are the necessities. Then I'll concentrate upon getting what I'll need to work with in order to begin to reconstruct my life. I can relate back to my past where if I wanted to do anything, I've never had a problem because I didn't mind working. All my years, all the way through college, a couple of years in Michigan State, whatever I wanted to do, I could do it. But it was the desire to want to do it. It was something that killed the desire.
Man, wrong sizes. This is worth about $1 here.
Junking is what I'm doing is just basically getting aluminum, pallets, anything that's resellable to certain people, certain companies. Most people throw away things not knowing that they have a value, a resellable value. This will keep you going, but you can't hope to make any substantial money out of it. Like last couple of days I made about $25, which I used to help pay with well, it was a light bill, so that was helpful.
Here you go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. All right, have a nice day. That helps out. Gas.
Can you guys follow us up to 700 Main?
While Estrada is tracking another parolee, he spots Bell driving past.
Eddie called this morning when I got to the office about 10:30 in the morning. He tells me he's out looking for a job today. Yet at 1:30, 2 o'clock, we see him going by 10th and Orange, kind of slowing down, looking from side to side. So it's a high crime area, a lot of crack and heroin. More than likely, he's already out looking for some dope or something to get into.
Estrada is suspicious and decides to pay Bell a surprise visit.
Ah, success. My guy is home. I can't believe that.
Hello.
Hold on, Eddie.
Estrada insists on proof that Bell is trying to find work and that he actually paid for his car.
Oh, okay.
Everything must be documented. And all the while, Estrada is delving for any holes in Bell's story. This time, Bell comes up clean.
So what I did instead is went back to the employment office. They sent me out on a job interview.
Oh, okay.
So,
he had the proper paperwork for his car that he just bought and the business card of the place where he went to apply for employment. And what, this is where you got a possibility?
yeah.
Okay.
So
Like you said, he'd been out hauling pallets. While we were having a conversation, I managed to look at the bed of the truck, and there was some small pieces of wood back there, so obviously he was hauling some type of wood. So that shows promise.
All right.
But call me tomorrow and I'll give you that address.
I got you.
Okay.
Peace again.
All right, Eddie.
All right.
All parolees are required to report to their parole agent at least once a month, but there are always some who refuse. Out of 50 parolees, Estrada currently has 9 parolees at large. As soon as he finds them, they'll be sent back to prison. At large, Daniel Campbell, a methamphetamine addict convicted of battery of a police officer, drugs, burglary. He's been returned to prison 4 times for parole violations. Daniel Contreras, convicted of robbery, kidnapping, rape with a deadly weapon. Lawrence Healy, burglary, 3 convictions of assault with a deadly weapon. Ruben Herrera, robbery, assault, escape, rape. Conrad Lau, assault with a deadly weapon, child molestation, rape. Anthony Little, robbery, assault with a deadly weapon. Michael Seymour, robbery, drugs. Christine Thomas, 42 arrests for drugs, prostitution, burglary, kidnapping. Douglas LaFontaine, assault with a deadly weapon, battery, rape.
At the end of the alley, that might have been him.
Estrada is infuriated by parolees who hide from him. Not only does it make it impossible to do his job, but a parolee on the run is almost always breaking the law, usually on drugs and supporting the habit by stealing. Estrada is looking for Lavoris Jones, who has 3 convictions for burglary and robbery. Jones hasn't reported in 4 months. Estrada has information that Jones is hiding at his girlfriend's house. He must find out quickly if Jones is inside, because a typical tactic is to stall the agent at the front door while the parolee leaves out the back or hides.
Estrada from Wynwood to the Department of Corrections. I was looking for Lavoris Jones.
He don't live here.
Okay, are you related to him?
I used to be his girlfriend.
Okay, we got a call that they thought he was staying here. Do you mind if I look in? See if
Well,
he's
he came over here and visited.
Uh-huh. Okay, can I go in and look, ma'am?
The boy, he want to talk to you.
Yeah. Okay, put your hand back.
You could say it's a game. You could say it's a game, see how long you can stay out. I did it once before. I ran for 20 months. Ran for 20 months and then stayed around the neighborhood. You mess up, you know. You go in for, a violation. They give you 60, 90 days. You get back out. You're still on parole. You know. Then they enhance you a year. After that, smooth sailing. You're gone.
Parole violation.
By early June, Estrada has returned 9 of his parolees to prison for various parole offenses. However, 6 of his parolees are still at large.
Well, he's getting wired.
This is what you meant about the door being tied
Yeah.
shut, huh?
Estrada doesn't believe that Bell is actively looking for a job. He and parole agent Colleen Grosso are going to visit Bell at home to see what sort of progress he's making. Their visit is unannounced.
Hey, what's happening? Come on in.
Bell has not found a job, but he is convinced that he can succeed in selling home water filters.
This is my occupation. I don't know if you've seen that pyramid type thing that they had going.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like that. The more people that introduce, then you get a percentage of whatever they sell eventually. It's an industry, and what they're hoping to do is take the place of the water bottle industry.
Bell first became interested when he saw a promotional videotape.
The countertop model can be purchased at the wholesale price of $120. You sell the unit retail for $179. You make $59 in commissions when you sell the unit.
I mean, $59 just for selling, I mean, just for, you know, 1 day's work. If I can sell 1 unit a day, 59, not many jobs I could get in my position and make $59.
Our income has exceeded $50,000.
Okay.
Our 19-year-old son, who just turned 19, has made over $10,000. The greatest opportunity in the world. I was in the insurance business. This sure beats insurance.
What it'll boil down to is that I'll have an opportunity, I think, at last, to be independent and be able to make some progress.
This last time he was locked up for 6 years, or a little bit over 6 years, all of a sudden he finds himself with what freedom the parolees have on the streets, and he's got the pressures of having to find a job, having to abide by the rules of parole. When he finds that he has no legitimate marketable skills, he may go back to his robbing and forging checks and dealing drugs, if need be, to support himself.
5 of Estrada's parolees are convicted arsonists. On parole: Maud Del Wooten, convicted of setting fire in the stairwell of his wife's apartment. Bernard Ottenwes poured gasoline over an apartment complex garage and set fire to it. Also convicted of drug possession and assault with a deadly weapon. Bernard Johnson set fire to his uncle's kitchen during a fight, also convicted of rape. Billy Irvins, convicted of setting fire to an inhabited structure, also convicted of assault. Lewis Howard served time for setting fires to a structure, to an inhabited property, and to forest land.
When I got my police report when I was in prison, they said they didn't want to let me out because they said I was a danger to society. Made me mad, you know, because I would never hurt nobody. I wouldn't have no reason to hurt nobody. You know, if I get mad, I just light a fire. I don't go after nobody.
Howard has been out of prison for 6 months. Because of his long history of mental instability, he requires a tremendous amount of supervision. Howard is incapable of working due to his mental condition and the medication he takes to cope with it. Each month, he receives a Social Security check for $678. $550 of it goes for a room in the Bay Hotel.
I want to go follow the parole procedures because the quicker I don't do it and the quicker I get off. I can't drink and I can't take drugs and I can't carry matches or lighters on me. I just got to bum a light.
Well, next week's
Willie, yes. You got a light on you?
Oh, no. Now you're going to jump out with the light.
I lit a speedboat on fire. I had lit a match and threw it on a boat cover, and it burned up the boat and the carport.
Oh, Little Red Riding Hood.
I was on cocaine. I was drinking and doing cocaine at the same time. I just thought it'd be fun to light a fire. So I lit it and I just sat there and watched it burn. I guess I kind of got off on the fire engine lights, you know, and that's just why I lit the fires. I was raised up in foster homes and mental institutions. I never lived at home. They've never really very much kept in touch. And when I tried to get a phone number, it was like no, or, you know. But the only person's address I only remember was my grandma's because it was an easy one to remember. And then she moved, and I didn't know where she moved to. She didn't leave a forwarding address.
Every Thursday, Howard must meet for an individual therapy session with parole staff psychiatrist Dr. Robert Barker.
Yeah, he's a good doctor because every time I feel like I have a problem, I talk to him and it helps. If I'm depressed or if I'm hearing voices or something like that, I always feel better after I talk to him.
Great. Lewis sets his fire out of a sense of both rage and excitement. He isn't fully able to express his anger. So when he becomes angry, there's a fire.
Is anyone else
2 days ago, Howard discovered that his Walkman had been stolen from his room.
Any angry impulses towards this guy who might have stolen it?
Yeah. I wanted to do something just as bad to him as he did to me.
What sort of things were you thinking of?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe burning something of his that he really likes or something.
I'm glad you didn't.
No. I couldn't anyway. I don't carry matches or a lighter.
Great idea.
Yeah.
A few days later, a tenant at the Bay Hotel was murdered. Howard became frightened and turned to Estrada for help in finding him a new place to live.
Okay. What I have, okay, he's doing good on parole. He's coming to POC once a week. I'm seeing him 2 and 3 times a week to keep him in check. Okay, tell me what my chances are of placing him. He's an arsonist.
Estrada is trying to find a board and care facility for Howard to move to. It's not easy to place an arsonist, but if Estrada doesn't keep Howard calm and stable, the consequence could be another fire.
what would it be? And I'm not gonna run a scam by you because I got to deal with you more than once. I'll tell you what, if you want, I'm not pressuring you now, but would you be willing to see him today?
A week later, Estrada is successful, and Howard moves into a board and care facility.
It's been better than where I was at. There was a lot of violence and stuff, and here I feel more comfortable.
What are we going to do without a cat dish?
Got to buy another one.
The new surroundings kept Howard calm for a while, but around Thanksgiving he became severely depressed. He reported hearing voices, and at his request was committed to a psychiatric hospital. Eddie Bell has given up trying to sell water filters and has not found steady work. Estrada has noticed that Bell has lost a lot of weight and seems depressed.
It's not that heavy. Thinking about the amount of progress that I've made since April the 11th, I expected to have more progress. Sure, the parole department can be all smiles and so on and so forth, but when the person walks out of that department and he gets out here in the real world, then what happens then? Nothing has changed as far as the way that society views an individual that has been to prison. You find that the same frown appears. You find that the same attitude is there. You're offered the same menial job, and it's been a great disappointment for me.
Bell has made friends with some parolees who live in an abandoned building. They are also out of work and appear to be his only friends.
Your real friends are the guys you grew up with and you have fun with and party with and all that type of thing. And all those guys are dead. They were all killed or died from drugs or something since the last 20 years.
Bell's new friends share his prison experience and have the same difficulty surviving on the outside.
But I know one day, the law said, well, I'm going to come back. I'm going to give me a house, car, everything. Yeah. I'm going to have everything right.
Some people say people would rather be in prison than to be out here. They can't make it out. They'd rather be. I think that that's a fallacy, and I think that that was something that was fabricated in order to justify a high recidivist rate or something of that nature. The Lord forbid, don't let me have to think about going back to prison in order not to be in society. No, it's definitely more pleasurable here. I've never met anybody that would rather be in prison than to be free. Never have I met a person like that.
Nice day. All right, you take it easy now. My brother's too strong, man. All right.
Most parolees have a history of drug use, and many continue to use while in prison. More than any other single factor, drugs have caused the enormous increase in recidivism. Robert Feraniuk, drug possession, assault with a deadly weapon, parole violation. Alfred Nickelberry, 5 convictions for drugs, robbery. Michael Charity, possession, sales, and under the influence of drugs. Timothy Scanlon, drug sales. Michael Henry, burglary, drugs, parole violation. Frank Wallmuller, grand theft auto, forgery, drug sales. Steve Cisneros, battery, numerous petty thefts, grand theft, receiving stolen property, and hit and run. Cisneros has an extensive drug history and is a believer in the occult. He is 23. 2 weeks after Cisneros' release from prison, Estrada goes to visit him. Cisneros is supposed to be living with his mother, who has rebuilt this Victorian house and owns several rental properties in the neighborhood.
I've pushed him, I've nagged, I've yelled, I've screamed, I've thrown him out, and it's the same thing. He did this last time just before he got arrested. The same thing. He just goes on his bicycle, runs around, and goes and visits his friends, and he's contented with that.
Cisneros has moved out of his mother's house and into a building she owns down the street.
Is he working, or?
You know, that's another story. He was working, and they fired him because he's an illiterate.
Ah, okay.
And he lasted 1 week, and that was it. See that? Alex Estrada's here to see you.
Well, the first thing I see is he just has this thing for wrought iron gates with a padlock. I figured, okay, I've got to make noise to get in. So if I'm going to see anything, it's right now because it's unexpected. So I kind of started looking around and didn't see any drug paraphernalia right away. I figured, well, I've got to take my stand where I can more or less get a good surveillance of the room while I'm in there talking to him. So that's why I walked to the furthest end and then walked back talking to him, looking. And that's when I went over and picked up the roach and said, tell me about this and don't lie to me.
Do a thing?
No, but, you know.
That's the roach.
Yeah. Okay, you gotta. Yeah. Well,
I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Yeah, you know. He was somewhat loaded then, and I felt uncomfortable with the situation downstairs.
You tell the truth, what's going on, man?
Okay. Because if you're having a problem, I can get you into a drug program. Okay?
No, I'm not having no problem with drugs.
All right. You gotta leave the pot alone.
I do, man. Period.
Period.
I heard they don't test for weed, though.
Hey, wow.
I mean,
Should I test for everything? Okay, no.
Parole is hard to beat, man. You know, I gotta tell you. Even if you stay clean off dope and stuff, you can be caught in the wrong neighborhood, man. You know, just walking down the street. Cops pull you over. You say, hey, you're in a dope neighborhood. On your parole, on your deal, on your parole, it says you're not allowed to be in neighborhoods with dope or associating with somebody that's on parole, and you didn't know this dude was on parole or something. You can get violated real easy for, you know, stupid things, man.
Cisneros got status in prison for saying he worshipped the devil.
It's weird, man. Like when I was doing it, a lot of people stayed away from it. I had a lot of peace in the pen. It was weird. You can't hide it, man. If you're into the occult, you're gonna end up reading the Satanic Bible or something. Somebody's gonna end up telling anyways, hey man, this guy's got pentagrams on his arms and, you know, sigils and Hindu writing. Yeah, but it's no biggie in there, you know. You get, the devil runs in the pen anyways, man. It's pure evil that's going on in there, you know. So they, you know, the only thing they want to kill is child molesters and snitches, rats, you know. The cult, they can't deal with them. They don't know how. I get tired, man, you know, going through county systems and going to court and back, it just burns you out, man. It's worse than drugs, you know. Here I am, 23 now, and this is like to me, I feel it's my last chance, man, you know, for some reason. I told myself, if I go back to the pen, I ain't gonna be back for no little violation or something. It's gonna be for something serious, man. I mean, you know, I'll make sure it hits the news this time.
2 weeks after this interview, Steve Cisneros was picked up for possession of methamphetamines and returned to prison. On parole, John Bailey, convicted of breaking and entering, robbery, weapons, and prison escape. Tommy Jones, robbery, receiving stolen property. Pascual Gonzalez, 4 convictions for burglary. Stephen Strang served 18 years for armed robbery and first-degree murder. Mike Cruz, a lifelong heroin addict with 5 prison terms for burglary, robbery, and assault with a deadly weapon. He has spent over 25 years in prison. His last conviction was for 8 armed robberies of fast food restaurants. Cruz has been out for 9 months. He has been one of the few success stories on Estrada's caseload despite his violent past.
It started young, you know. I think junior high school. Started smoking weed. Drinking wine on the weekends. Popping them pills. Stealing them cars. But before you know it, man, you know, you're in the spoon, and then, you know, you're picking up a gun. When you find out how easy it was to pick up a gun, you know, how much money you can make doing it, you know, you get just as hooked on robberies as you can on heroin. I mean, I got shot by the police, and that didn't stop me. You know, I continued doing it.
Mike Cruz grew up in prison and spent over half his life behind bars.
In the old days, you didn't really care. You know, you got in the fast lane, you know. You enjoyed the fast lane more because you went to prison and you knew what prison was like. You know, you were a survivor. I knew I'd go back, you know, because I knew where I was heading. I didn't care. But robberies, to me, I used to like doing them. Because I used to do maybe 5 or 10 a night, you know. I used to do 4 or 5 a day. You know, I used to do them all at one time, you know, and go out a month later and do another bunch. So I didn't have to go out every day, you know.
Cruz is a highly skilled machinist, a craft he learned in prison. He now works full-time for a tool and die company. At age 48, it's only the second job he's ever held outside of prison.
You know, getting up at 3 in the morning to go, you know, it's fun. And to me it is, I like it. I'm enjoying it. Because I would have never got up at 3 to go to work. You know, I'd have got up at 11 to go rob. All the tattoos I got was just growing up there in prison, and because he got one, you want one. And because he's got one, you want a better one. And that's all tattoos are. It's the macho thing. When they look and see San Quentin on your arm or Folsom across your back, they respect you for it because you've been there. You know, you're a survivor. Kids go in there with nothing on their arms, and they come out with, you know, sleeved. And then they go back to their neighborhood and, you know, they roll their shirts up, you know, and they want everybody to know they've been in prison. But when you know, when you don't want nobody to know you've been in prison, then you want to start hiding them. 25, 30 years ago, it was nice, you know. But now, you know, it's terrible. I'm friendlier. I'm a lot different, you know. I mean, where I can talk to people. I've never been able to talk to people. I never cared, you know, if they talk back. You know.
The only thing we have to check is the height.
The thing is, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm starting, you know, late in life, but I'm starting to enjoy life. Because there's a lot of things I want to do that I thought about. And I'm going to do them. I've never been to Disneyland. You know, I've never been to Magic Mountain, you know. And I've lived here all my life. The hardest part for me after getting out was making new friends, you know, people that would trust you. I go to a little tavern, man. It's a out-of-the-way corner, and they're older people in there. It's not all young, you know. And I enjoy being around them, you know.
Hey, Mike.
At first, they didn't know that I had gotten out of prison. And none of these people ever been in trouble in their life. But they knew that, you know, something was wrong because, you know, I got all these tattoos. And then, you know, by being honest and open with them, hey, I just got out of prison, you know, I just did an issue and all that, you know, but that's behind me. You know, it was nice, you know, because they accepted me, you know, at face value. I lost my parents last time, you know, and that hurts, you know, because the last thing my dad told me was, I'm never going to see you again. And he was right. He died. I'm doing it for them, if nobody else. Trying to do right, you know, for a change, you know. If I couldn't make them proud of me when they were alive, maybe I can make them proud of me when they're dead. You know, it's cold, but it's fair, you know.
Cruz's first year on parole is almost over. He has consistently tested clean for drugs and needs little supervision. Estrada transfers him to the lower supervision caseload of another agent. Estrada has received information that Eddie Bell may be using heroin. He hasn't seen Bell for 2 weeks and has spent the last 4 days looking for him.
The last time I saw him, I thought he was extremely lethargic, and we kind of talked about that. He says, no, I'm just working hard and I'm not eating a whole lot. But he looked really thin to me. The only thing I really have on him is his drug usage, okay? But obviously, if what they tell me on the streets, the amount he's using, he's not making that junking. So he's been burglarizing places or maybe strong-arm robbing people, I don't know.
Estrada spots Bell's El Camino. Since he now suspects Bell of heroin use, he needs to get police backup before approaching the apartment.
I was wondering if Tom Marcoux was on. I need some assistance in taking a parolee into custody.
Estrada briefs the police officers about Eddie Bell, reminding them that his last conviction was for the attempted murder of one of the Long Beach officers.
This is the guy that grabbed, I think it was Schroeder's gun when he got arrested, and Schroeder had to put his web in between the hammer and the firing pin there. I just say, let me get my other set out of my bag. Because from what they tell me, that they've seen him in and out of the house with other people going in and out. They feel it may be a shooting gallery during the day.
You have another unit or 2, 3?
Eddie, open the door. Huh? Okay. That's good enough. Hold it right there, Eddie. All right? Just hold it right there. Put your hands behind your back, Eddie. Here's a spoon where he's been cooking his heroin. Did you say I was safe to assume that this is not for a Halloween party?
Possible, but power heroin.
We have 3 in custody on this. I'm taking this vehicle stolen.
And a coke pipe here.
It looks like possibly speedballing now.
Yeah. Right by the bed was a spoon with some cotton, a coke pipe sitting on top of the nightstand. Then Officer Foltz went in to search the restroom, and there was a syringe in there, needle, plunger, the whole shot. And it had some type of foreign substance in it, a liquid. I got a question, Eddie. How much was it running you a day, would you say?
$30, $40.
For the weight that Eddie has lost and the way he was, he's using a lot more, maybe $30 a pop. So like you say, he's using $100, maybe $200 a day. I didn't find any current receipts from the junkyards where he'd been junking in his wallet. There was a couple of CB radios in a carrying case. So he may have taken them and was in the process of selling them.
Well, this is a Craig, and it's 700 00899.
248-700-00899.
With Eddie, I'll conference the case with my supervisor, and then we'll make the decision. Either we'll continue him on parole and get him into a drug program, or he'll go back to prison to serve a parole violation. That's why I say it's on you, Eddie. You know, if my boss lets you just get into the SARD program, you know, don't compound the charge by booking.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like I say, that's like I said, that's a chance for you. Okay.
His fingers are showing through, but they're just
Bell was returned to prison for the 6th time. He will serve 90 days for possession of drug paraphernalia. It's 4 days before Christmas, a time for families to gather and celebrate, which means it's the best time of year to find parolees at home, even the ones who have eluded their agents all year long. Just after dawn, Estrada and Agent Larry Watkins begin their roundup.
Open up, Thomas. It's close to the holidays, Christmas time, New Year's, and a lot of them want to be at home with the relatives, if they've got small children, with their children. So we're kind of cruel in hitting them during the holidays, but that's when we can catch them. So it's Merry Christmas, guess who's here?
Open the door. Where's Clarence? Where's Milton? Stay parole. We're gonna take David.
Just stand over here, all right? I know, just stand over here. You don't have any needles on you, do you? No? Okay. Lean back a little bit. Parole, I want to get in. I want to pick up Roger Collins. Roger Collins.
A woman's voice tells Estrada that Roger Collins isn't home. But minutes later, a police officer spots someone trying to open a back window. Estrada knows the longer it takes to get in, the more that can go wrong.
It's the police. Open it or it's coming down.
I'm going to open it just
Right. Open it now.
Now, it's going down.
If you lie one more time, you're going to jail. You understand that?
Wait a minute, I'm coming down.
Okay,
you understand?
let's do it now.
Okay, like I said, I don't know anybody in this house. Be careful.
I'll cover you, Alex.
Put your hands up.
No. I got your back already.
Get up. Turn around. They were more likely stalling, trying to see if he could get out the window on us while they were deterring us at the front door. If he's selling drugs and a halfway decent businessman, he was probably supporting the family and paying the rent. So, you know, they don't want their income leaving. Okay, so they're gonna lie and do whatever. And, you know, I think if she had thought if she didn't open the door, we wouldn't have pushed the issue. She probably wouldn't open the door.
By Christmas, 22 of Estrada's parolees have been returned to prison. In the 9 months since April, 9 of them have been to prison and have been re-released. Eddie Bell has served 3 months for his parole violation and is about to be released from prison.
Mr. Bell, I have to ID you one more time as you go out the door.
Eddie Bell, B76756.
Okay.
I started using drugs about 2.5 or 3 months after I was out. I was having a few problems. Things weren't exactly going the way that I'd hoped they would go. So I thought that I could beat the system.
God bless.
Eddie Bell was released with $99 gate money. He has no savings, and his car has been impounded for parking citations. He returns to the streets with no work training, no contacts, no permanent place to live. For the 6th time in his life, Eddie Bell is back out on parole. One year has passed since the start of our study of parole agent Estrada's caseload. Of the 50, only 19 completed the year without running into trouble with the law. 27 of the parolees were returned to prison. In fact, 4 of them were sent to prison, released, and sent back again for new offenses, all within 12 months. 22 of these men were returned to prison for violating their conditions of parole. The violations included drug use and possession, absconding, petty theft, driving while intoxicated, hit and run, possession of weapons and ammunition, auto theft, battery, and disobeying the orders of the parole agent. 5 of the parolees were convicted of new crimes and were given new prison terms. 4 were for drug charges, with sentences ranging from 16 months to 7 years. 1, Herbert Lamont, was convicted of child molestation and forcible rape. He had already served time for manslaughter and child molestation. This time, he was sentenced to 73 years in prison. 2 of the parolees are dead. Both were killed while committing new crimes. Stephen Strang served 18 years for murder. 7 months after he was released, he tried to rob a gun store and was shot and killed. Alfred Nickelberry had 5 convictions for drugs and robbery. He too was shot and killed while committing a robbery in a trailer park just 3 months after his release from prison. At the end of the year, 4 of the parolees are at large, including Christine Thomas, who has eluded capture for over 3 years. Steve Cisneros was released from prison after 3 months. He has been going to a drug rehabilitation clinic, but still occasionally tests positive for drug use. He does not have a job. Lewis Howard spent 3 months in psychiatric hospitals for treatment of delusions and depression. Now he is back living at a board and care facility. Mike Cruz has been working in drug-free for a year and a half. It is the longest period he has been out of prison since he was 15. Bob Martin graduated from technical school and began working part-time. But when he moved to a new town, he failed to register with police as a sex offender. Martin was returned to custody for this violation of his parole conditions. Eddie Bell was required to attend a drug clinic, which he did sporadically. One drug test indicated that he had begun using heroin again. Then 1 week after the end of the year's study, Eddie Bell was arrested for shoplifting and assaulting a security officer. He was returned to prison for the 7th time. Parolees walk the streets of virtually every community in America. Few are rehabilitated, most are jobless. And within the next year, over half of them will commit offenses serious enough to send them back to prison. Nationwide, there are now over 400,000 parolees. And according to the U.S. Department of Justice, the number of convicts on the street will double in the next 5 years.